Your so-called Justice League is in violation of our martial law. They are to be considered an enemy and dealt with on sight. Any person found aiding or harboring them will be summarily punished.
So welcome to our roundup of 2017. Myself and Richard Drumm are here. I'm Paul Farren, and we're going to talk about...
We are once more scot-free.
We're scot-free. Scott's off enjoying the new Star Wars film, which we might talk about a bit later. But
well, Richard, I've not seen it, but you can.
No, I'm going to spoil it for Richard later on. So we're going to start. We're going to roll off. We're going to talk about the most recent superhero films, which were Thor, Ragnarok.
Indeed.
Ragnarok or Ragnarock?
Or Ragnarock. My mother insists on pronouncing it like Christy Moore.
Oh, Ragnarok. Yeah, Ragnarok. I can hear a bell on the background.
Exactly, can't you? Has the right.
And we're going to talk about Justice League, one of the most...
He said with a heavy sigh.
I did enjoy it.
I didn't hate it, which is the best I can say.
It's a terrible film.
Yes.
So this is my new filing system is the ones I enjoyed, hated later, ones I enjoyed and hated at the same time, and ones I enjoyed but I know that I shouldn't have enjoyed them. And Justice League falls into that. Well, we start with Justice League and move backwards.
Oh, we
Get
can,
the bad
absolutely.
out of the way. So,
just flick through my notes real quickly, but yes.
It seems the curse just goes back to Batman, Superman. No one was forgiving them for that movie. And that they tried to make up with the sins of that a bit too hard, it seemed to me.
I mean, you could lay it as far back as Man of Steel, really. Like, that initial conception of this gritty post-9/11 Superman, interesting in theory, didn't really... Well, no, I think that film works as a standalone. The problem was they didn't have to go, right, from this entirely unworkable Superman structure, make a whole Justice League out of it. And to a point, I would have liked to have seen Snyder's fully Snyder vision of Justice League, to see what he did with it, but it's a mess.
Well, it's funny, Scott's not here, but he said one interesting thing to me last night. He was blaming Joss Whedon for what he felt was a bad movie, rather than Zack Snyder. Now,
I blame everyone, but yeah.
Sorry, we should say this. This is a spoiler central discussion of movie here. So, if you were hoping to hear stuff and not get the plot revealed to you, don't hang around. Go
once see Justice League, I've seen already because it's sort of slow with the box office.
Yeah, we are very late here with this discussion. Yeah, I agree. It was Man of Steel was very serious, and it did get criticised for that. Mm-hmm. And they didn't take the lessons on board. But then this is the question.
Well, there was no time to really. Like, they were shooting this a month after Batman Superman came out, so they couldn't really do that much with it.
Which means the scripts were in and around delivered at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think the question goes back to when is the superhero genre taking itself too seriously or not? There's this bizarre balance we're seeing in a lot of these movies that are fantasy movies and escapist, and they are reflective of the here and the now somewhat. We would agree with that, yeah. But they're not. I think too many, as you say, too many serious things being discussed with people wearing colourful costumes. It doesn't seem right in film context, and certainly in the comic book context, it doesn't for me either. Some of them are like just too. No, some. I mean, you're not going to solve the world's problems with any kind of story anyway, but you can reflect what's going on in the real world. But is it the right place for the more serious political discussions?
I think to jump ahead to Thor for a second, everyone's saying that it has a very consistent, interesting, like, post-colonialism subtext, and that's really well done in that movie, but it's very backgrounded. It's not at all noticeable if you're not looking for it, whereas Snyder came in with these very lofty ideas of talking about, I don't know, American essentialism and what right does a superhero have to... Basically, everyone's saying his philosophy is altruism is evil, which is a bold claim to put in Superman. But
do you think he was trying to say that?
I mean, I've seen it argued, and it's a consistent argument, but I don't know if I entirely buy that's his worldview, because that's a bit dark.
Think it's a bit more twisted discussion that comes out of the old Marvel idea of with great powers comes great responsibility.
Yes.
I felt, if anything, what was reflective in things was it was reflecting a darker side of what American culture is and how it treats its immigrants. Because don't forget, Superman is the ultimate immigrant, and I picked up on that stuff, which was quite nice. But as you say, back to what we were saying, it's kind of heavy-handed, whereas Ragnarok, it's like let's sneak a little bit of a point of view on imperialism, or let's say colonialism. That was a nice little touch. I didn't hang around in it because I didn't want to ruin our dinner, as it were.
Yeah, it was left for filmy wanker students to come out with, oh yes,
but interestingly, the Ragnarok was great fun, and I said to you this before we started that I loved it, and it's still kind of like settled funny. And I actually, it was the one I went to see twice. I didn't get a chance to see Justice League a second time.
Will you though? Is the question. I think I might go see it again.
I would have with company, and if that company doesn't turn up in the next week, that's it. It's gone. I might catch it on Netflix in about 2 years' time. But it's the most frivolous of the two films. I suppose Ragnarok's a more frivolous movie. That's not a criticism, by the way.
No,
but the Justice League one, it actually felt like a bizarre B movie. It was like a B movie version of the Avengers. Yeah. And it couldn't get away from that, down to even including the special effects, which were absolutely atrocious in some places.
That's the problem, is that, one, the reshoots were so close to the release date, and also that because everyone's like, oh, it's too dark and gritty with Superman, Batman, all that they artificially lightened every scene, and all the costumes look like absolute dreck now, because they weren't designed to be lit that way. So Superman especially looks horrendous.
They had that kind of weird corrugated Superman suit. And
they have the patchy bits that meant it's not muscle, it's just like coloured in bits. It's terrible.
Did you notice as well that the film was quite dark, again, as are the other ones, and then it lightened as it got towards the end, where there was an actual bit of blue sky that stuck out like a sore thumb at the very end of the film, saying, okay, we're going to brighten up our movies later on.
But if you go by the trailers, you can see, remember the bit when Superman comes back at first, that the one good scene in the movie where he comes back and is evil momentarily. That scene in the trailers was very clearly set at night, so that's now been reversed to be daylight somehow. So that's why it just looks
I didn't even spot that.
Strange.
Now, I'm one of those people that did not spot the bad CGI on the mustache removal.
Really?
But I did notice when Superman came in at the end to just basically take over and be, Superman ex machina.
Oh, indeed.
Sorry, I had to. I noticed that his CGI body was a little bit faster than his head.
Really?
I swear.
But
it was so noticeable, that CGI costume bouncing around the place when he was kicking arch with Steppenwolf, who's probably the worst CGI villain ever. And we have a CGI villain coming up in Star Wars and Snoke as well, and even that's not great. But I love the idea, the concept of Steppenwolf, but there was needed more going on than you couldn't buy into that.
I didn't hate him entirely. I still think he's better than what was Christopher Eccleston's character called in Thor 2? Malekith?
Oh,
he was far worse, I think, just in terms of dullness and performance. Like Kieran Hines didn't need to be there. I don't know why they bothered getting him, but he tried.
It was a handy gig for Kieran. I wouldn't deny him it.
It's
but yeah, he was such a throwaway villain. Even if he was reflecting what might be to come, as Marvel have been doing with Thanos for how many movies now? I don't even think about. It didn't mean much. It introduced a whole new element to the mother. The mother boxes were more explicitly mentioned than they have been before. That was
confusingly set up, but at least they were there. I don't quite get what they do in this version of them.
In terms of the interpretations and kind of launching of individual characters, did any of them kind of work for you?
Despite what everyone's saying, I quite liked Cyborg. I thought Ray Fisher has genuine presence. The script that he was given was largely exposition, but he'd actually tried, and
I agree.
I like that he wasn't that he wasn't Aquaman, basically. He wasn't just spouting off, what's that line Flash says? Racially charged epithets. Like, it's all just very solemn kind of, I'm a monster, please help me speeches. And that was good. Like, I hated Aquaman so much.
I think Aquaman was the weakest.
Yeah. Flash wasn't great either, but Aquaman was horrific.
He did have that one great moment, which I did laugh out very lately. The lasso, that was really funny. But I think the take on Aquaman is some kind of weird surf bum dude.
Yeah, it's just riddled insecurities of Aquaman. No one likes Aquaman, so let's make him this giant hulking. Let's get Jason Momoa to play himself and just be a surfer Hawaiian dude that says "booyah." I'm like, oh, this is dreadful. No, I don't want this.
Yeah, and there was another funny line that again Aquaman did provide some of the humor, whereas where he was, his attitude towards Wayne and his Batman suit was quite funny.
That was all right.
Well, he got the pitchfork joke was good.
Pitchfork, yeah, that was I give that one.
But again, there's this thing we're seeing a lot of now in the movies and in the new Star Wars, is that taking the piss out of itself thing that is always in danger of going, okay, where are you going with this? You're actually, do you believe in your own little thing that you're creating here, or are we just doing jokes about it?
Especially when you bring Joss Whedon in, because his whole shtick is just self-awareness, postmodernism, referencey humor, so that was a danger there. I think it's a lot of problems with it. I don't know. I hated
it gets
giving
tiresome
Batman
very
jokes.
quickly.
Oh yeah, but it was a breezy 2 hours, so I couldn't complain about it.
Well, I think it was 45 minutes cut out of that.
They were saying it should have been 3 hours. The original cut was 3 hours.
Well,
Or close to it.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
so.
exactly like his 3-hour films. So you didn't like the Batman jokes?
Too many. I think given that Affleck was set up one film ago as being this incredibly brooding murderer, it suddenly to him it'd be all quips and self-aware jokes, and I was like, I don't
one
buy
of the
this.
biggest cracks in the film was the putting together a team.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make any. The logic wasn't really there.
No.
You kind of let it go as Batman gets on a horse and goes off to this town in Greenland or wherever the hell it was.
Why do you need a horse?
Yeah, that's again. The man can afford helicopters and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And it was a very small world again, which is quite interesting. Still going back to those goddamn Kryptonian spaceships for 10 seconds to do a few bits and pieces.
Well, I guess that's their Fortress of Solitude, isn't it? It's that one ship. That's all they can really use it for.
Is that what that is? I thought it was the Zod ship.
No, it is Zod's ship, but there's no other fortress in the movie, so I guess that's now his
Well,
Solitude.
Superman's one still exists elsewhere, doesn't it?
I think he had one of these movies, did he?
They did, yeah. He found one. Remember, that's how.
That was the ship, though.
Don't forget, Superman is the reason that all the shit came to Earth in the first place.
Except that
Man
he
of
wasn't
Steel,
now.
he triggers off a beacon, and that is what gets everybody there. So I thought that you used to always see that kind of as the comedy idea of Laurel and Hardy, where they save the day from themselves. That bit in Man of Steel didn't sit with me. Like, you need a reason for all this shit in the first place.
I mean, let's not get into collateral damage to Superman in that film, but yeah. I mean, I liked seeing the Themyscira again and the Amazonians. They're all wasted, but it was a fun. That bit with the horse and the bow and arrow was good when he's just shooting the box forward.
Oh, I don't know. It felt
enjoyed
like
that.
an American football game on horseback.
Yeah,
it was the wonkiest special effects, but the sheer energy of it, I thought.
Yes, it works in the chase scene.
Yeah. A pointless chase scene that you knew where it was going to end.
Well, I was actually shocked they didn't kill her mother off. I was very surprised she made it through that scene alive.
I thought she was killed off in the first film. So there you go. That's how I am, which I know. And then there's been complaints from some quarters that the girls' skirts were getting shorter. I didn't
I
notice.
think it was, yeah, because I watched one of them again recently, and I do think it was a little bit shorter again in Justice League.
I must be getting too old. I missed the lip on Cavill, and I missed the shorter skirts.
Well, the lip thing in its defense, it's bad, but you need to look for it because it just looks like his upper lips are out of focus most of the time.
Well, his appearance in the film is simply an extended cameo. Anyway, I think he has about 10 to 15 minutes of screen time in the whole film.
And his performance is very strange. It's very wooden and kind of psychopathic. He sort of like this grinning maniac just saying one-liners by the end, and it's very unsettling.
I think that a lot of actors would be very upset the fact that he played Superman with a mustache. Because I mean, I want to see that version of the movie.
Oh yeah, I want to see the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, they could have just given him a full beard and a mullet and just done the 90s thing. Like,
I mean, we haven't had a superhero with a mustache. Even Iron Man, when Tony Stark got celluloided, the mustache went. Mustaches don't float anymore on heroes.
no, Iron Man still has the goatee.
The goatee is not a mustache.
sorry,
It's not a mustache.
Star-Lord kind of has one.
Well, yeah, but what, in the comics?
No, in the last film he had a bit of a tash.
Okay.
Bit of sideburns too, but okay. Well, fair enough, right?
But Wonder Woman I felt was she was great, but she ended up with this mother hen routine with everybody. She was the mama looking after everybody, and her early scenes that reminder of who she was a bit ridiculous.
Which one's this now?
The one where they're going to blow up 4 blocks.
Oh yeah,
4 blocks.
Something like that.
4 blocks.
Again, in the trailer, that building explodes. So I guess in the Zack Snyder cut, all those children die. I don't know. I want to see his cut. I'm very curious about it.
I don't know. DC have been very strange with those trailers. They've created loads of trailers. There's so much missing from them. The only time I've ever seen that in a trailer since was the Rogue One.
Yeah, that's pretty bad for it too.
That was like, whoa, what happened to all the stuff? Which
reshoots.
you'll be intrigued when you see some stuff in Star Wars. You're going like, come on, that reminds me of what I didn't see in Rogue One.
Are you saying they got lazy and repurposed footage?
No. I'm just saying that there's some kind of groundwork that is his signature.
Okay.
Don't forget that's one of the things. His signature was shooting everything monsters from the ground up. What a signature! If they ever do a Land of the Giants adaptation, he's the man for it.
suppose they could make him part of the King Kong Godzilla averse. Have them all fight.
Oh, God, that's another conversation. We can't go down that road. We'll be here all night. So Ragnarok, a totally different beast altogether. A million miles away from its first two movies, other than the continuity of Loki, the Odin scenario. That's the heart of it, I suppose. And then this new villain or Panto villain played
She
by...
was the best thing of any of the Marvel film villains in my mind. I adored every second of it.
Someone I came across a very funny tweet. Someone said she could play herself as a GIF.
Yes.
And she was like, it was the best bit of drag ever in any supervillain movie or supervillain character. I enjoyed it. It was interesting that it was just about having fun. I don't think it took itself seriously for a second.
Yeah, you were saying beforehand, and I agree with you, that it almost, or maybe it did in places, tip over into being bad because of how funny it was. The jokes were all encompassing, and they never stopped. And I don't know that's a problem with Thor, because Thor is an inherently ridiculous character, so it should be fine. But it felt to me like watching either someone's fanfic, or if they'd released Lego Batman as a live action film and made it part of the DC universe. That's what it feels like. It feels like a parody of a film that already existed within the same continuity. It's very odd. Yes,
especially when they get to Sakaar.
Yes, and Taika Waititi's character, who's the best thing in it as well. He's fantastic.
He's a little improv scene stealing comedy man. All right. If anyone hasn't seen What We Do in the Shadows, go and check it out. I think it's the film that got him the gig. That and he did a little reel that he cut together. And apparently that the Pilgrim song was
Immigrant Song,
part of the Immigrant Song. Sorry,
which I'm glad that was in there, because it feels like a Thor movie has been crying out for some metal from that era just to show up, because all the album covers are always just basically Thor films, so why not put it in there?
But there was this thing of him not taking it as seriously as other people have in the past, including Kenneth Branagh's version, which was terribly, terribly serious. And
it's been a while.
One of the I watched a little bit of Dark World.
Yeah.
Not as homework, just curious because I hadn't seen it. I'd forgotten. It was such a forgettable movie. All I remember was that London was in it. Jane was in it. And there were these big elves that looked like they got cut out of some version of Lord of the Rings were in it. The Dark Elves.
And mysteriously albino.
And the worst use of spaceship rowing boat transport.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of really did like it, the comedy approach for a lot of it, but then the gravitas was needed for it to fit in and everything else.
I don't know that it was. I didn't care enough about Asgard when it just exploded at the end. I didn't really give a shit.
I don't think anybody did.
But is that a problem though? I don't know that it is, because it's not Earth, so you don't have to be invested in it. Like, it is just this weird alien floating rock. Like, it's not even a huge planet. It's just a bit of a rock in space. I don't know. It's very clear what it is.
Well, as you said earlier, there was that little bit of commentary on the colonialism and the empires rising and falling, and it was just understood this is what it was supposed to do. The whole intro with Thor meeting up with the villain whose name escapes me.
Surtur.
He said it's going to happen. It was the old, which what was that in before? That very same idea that like we can't change anything. Oh yeah, Terminator 3.
Oh, right.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to true curveball. Hulk. Let's talk about the Hulk in it.
I'm never a huge Hulk person generally, but yeah,
I like the Hulk.
He was grand in this. I think they were saying that the idea is that he's been in the Hulk form for 2 straight years, so he's basically a 2-year-old. He has that kind of vocabulary.
Well, you see, this is where it bothered me in terms of storytelling. He'd been in that form for 2 years. We get that one kind of wistful moment when he sees
Black Widow,
yeah. and that's it. I mean, I would have expected a lot more trauma to come out of something like that. Mark Ruffalo is a great actor. He's just fun, and he made you buy into it. But that was a much more traumatic moment than they invested in for the story, and they got away with it.
It'll be an Infinity War. It's fine.
But I enjoyed the Hulk. I still think they got away with stuff. That's what I was left with. That they just played the humor of this character. Don't forget, he's going to be Banner again Banner. Should I say Banner? Wasn't he the guy who played Banner in the first place? Yeah. And definitely Ruffalo is the best version of the Banner persona.
Ruffalo's a lot of fun. The one thing I was disappointed in was because I'm a big Anthony Hopkins fan, but he's terrible in most things. And he was really good for like a scene in this, and then the reshoots clearly happened, and then he was brought back in and just didn't give a fuck. Because when he's pretending to be Loki, he's brilliant. He's very fun, and he's like this little oh shit moment is very well done. But the second he's just on that field in the middle of Norway, he's so checked out and monotone.
Hopkins never talked about.
Hopkins, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mind. I'm one of those people who thinks Anthony Hopkins is fine, but he's one of the most overrated actors in the world.
No.
I still say his Westworld performance was another sleepwalking job that people
disagree. I think he's great in that. I think
he always
subtle
looked
emotion
like
in that one.
I didn't feel it. Maybe I watched him too soon, but he always looked like he was on his way to the toilet and he remembered something on the way and he just said it in that mumbling manner of yes.
Not a bad impression. Well done.
Well, you know, which room is it in?
But allegedly they didn't actually give him the full script for that show, and he kept asking like, "What's going on? What's the motivation?" They wouldn't tell him, so he's playing it for.
He's also
and vague.
Yeah, but he's also quite famous for working. His motivation is usually in the paycheck.
Oh no, yeah,
the old Noel Coward line about what's my motivation? It's getting paid at the weekend, and he's famous for that. So he's just.
I think he cares sometimes.
Yeah. Why am I saying this?
Like, I do think he was trying when he was pretending to be Loki, pretending to be Odin in that first scene. Like, he was animated and...
He was great fun.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favourite scenes, actually, in the film. Because you kind of forget about it because it gets lost and so much happens after that. But that was key, and it set it up quite beautifully. Because the other thing was, as I said about Dark World, I forgot the fucking thing. And I forgot that had all been set up at the very end of Dark World. I was like, okay, when did Loki do this? Oh, yeah.
You need to see Matt Damon reenact it.
But definitely he was a different Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the other actor?
It was Matt Damon as Loki, and it was the other Hemsworth as Thor.
The
third one.
Baby Hemsworth.
No, not Baby. I think it's the older one, the one that's in Westworld.
Okay.
And then it was Sam Neill as Odin, and then someone else as Sith.
And Sam Neill again, another Wakiki fan who was in Hunt for the Wilder People.
I haven't seen that one yet, actually. It's on my list.
Again, this is the thing about the Wakiki films I've seen. I didn't like Eagle versus Shark.
Haven't seen.
I haven't. I'll give you a loan of it. Hunt for the Wilder People took 15 minutes before I was going, oh yeah, okay, now I get it. It was that weird clunky beginning, and this had that for a while. There was some nice stuff I said in those scenes with the show, but then it was kind of it was quite odd when it gets to Sakaar setting up its little world.
It was odd, and I think that's where the improv kicked in, because they did say that there was a script for this at some point, but that at least more than half of it was improv. And I think once they got to Sakaar, they just went nuts, because I guess Jeff Goldblum threw out his script. I'm not sure if he had from to start with.
Well, look, we all know Jeff Goldblum has been playing Jeff Goldblum for the last.
But this was like the
how
most
many years
refined
now?
version of Jeff Goldblum. It was just pure Goldblum, more than usual. There's a scene where he full on just doesn't finish a line, just stares at the camera.
Apparently that was his makeup and his clothes he wore in all those
Wouldn't
scenes.
surprise me.
He just, this is a Come As You Are movie?
Because it's full on a bit where he is just talking to Thor and he just kind of trails off, and they just left it in. And it's fantastic they left it in, but it's like, this isn't how movies usually work.
But it reminded me of the closest funny I had in performing like that was in the Wes Anderson movies. He is great in Grand Budapest.
He is very good in that,
and I love him in Life Aquatic.
Yeah,
as the successful sailor who's not gay. If I remember rightly, I liked his sidekick, the New Zealand actress that has worked with Kiki before. I can't remember her name. No, sorry to her. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't think she was knocked off. In fact, there was very little knocking off for a film that was around the arena and violence. There was just a few kind of minor characters you met for 2 seconds that suddenly disappeared, and we knew they were gone. And I had been watching a really wonderfully bad Charles Band film from the 1980s, only a few weeks before this. And it was about a boxer taking on other boxers in an arena up in a space satellite.
Sure, why wouldn't you?
Well, this film, despite the huge budget, the plot ideas weren't that far away. Other than that, it wasn't the spine of the show. Any other elements of Thor Ragnarok that stuck out for you?
Trying to picture the notes there and see. Again, I really enjoyed Blanchett. I thought she was more fun than most. Like, aside from probably Hiddleston, that's the most animated villain performance we probably had since Weaving, maybe. Like, who else has really tried? Like,
You're talking, his Red Skull.
Yeah, it was like watching someone play a video game, because it was just her infinitely spawning swords and just massacring armies of people. I could watch that for hours. Great.
Idris Elba held his own slightly in the background as the not blind leader of the
himself, yes.
The Asgardians. Who are those Asgardians, by the way? They all look like they got lost and ended up. Yeah, general citizens do what?
And how big was that ship at the end? Like, how many did it hold? Like, how many made it out of that planet alive? Because she massacres at least a couple hundred, like, soldiers. Is the ratio more soldiers to citizens? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, I think there was about 2 soldiers per peasant.
Seemed that way.
But that brings us another thing. There was another nasty little thing that Wakiki did. It was he killed off all the supporting characters from the first 2 Thor movies.
Apart from Sif,
apart from
she
Sif.
wasn't available to shoot.
Is that what? Is she going to come back? Might she come back as a character though? Because she was a love interest for that.
I
movie,
think she'd come back. I think she was busy. She has some TV show now. That's why she wasn't able to come into it. But
okay.
I'd like to see her back.
It was nice of them to turn up to get killed, wasn't it? I hope they got paid well. And Carl Urban, our final one, our little odd subplot that could have been taken out of the movie, and I wouldn't say it wouldn't have been missed, but it wouldn't have. It wasn't there to do anything else other than to be Carl Urban's short movie. In fact, it could have been a Wes Anderson short film up before the feature.
Could have been. I enjoyed him. I mean,
I love Carl Urban. I think he's a great actor. He's quite fun, and he was quite funny.
Yeah, that accent in space is very amusing. I don't know
why. I don't know. It was weird. It was kind of Cockney Australian. I like Carl Urban. Always, but his dread is fantastic.
That's very true. Yes.
And he played it so well. It was a little film in itself.
Because you got a better arc than most other characters. Yeah.
But it reminded me of a great Alan Moore character he created for. Do you remember Halo Jones for 2008? This wonderful character who no one notices. They're nobody, and they end up saving the day, but nobody even realises what's happened. And that's essentially what happened with that character, who I think has a bit more to do in the comic book.
Oh yeah, that's one of those characters they brought in as a name check only and killed off immediately.
Yeah. So
what are your thoughts on Hiddleston and Loki? Because I think he was the MVP for a while there. I think he was a bit shit in it. Not a bit shit, but Hiddleston is either aging very fast or the makeup was weird. He looked a lot like Tommy Wiseau, and it was very distracting.
Tommy Wiseau, disgusted to hear that.
I think it's a compliment.
I enjoyed him. I thought I
enjoyed him.
He was quite absent at a time where you're going to go, well, shouldn't he be a bit more involved? And there was the writing felt a bit forced once he got the Sakaar over what way he was thinking and functioning. And then the cosmic cube throwaway piece at the end was a bit cheeky. But then they've been doing that since Avengers 2, when suddenly we go, hold on, did you catch all those episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
Because that'll explain some of the shit that you don't know what's going on here because you haven't seen the TV series. So, that moment at the end when he sees the cosmic cube and he's a little look. And we've seen the trailer for Infinity War since, so we not that we didn't know where it was going. I still think the Red Skull should turn up in Avengers Infinity War.
Weaving will come back, he would. Like, he's contracted this, they don't want to make him do it. He doesn't want to do it.
We've proved that you don't need the same actor for all these things. There's other good actors out there. Everybody's replaceable.
But speaking of stealing cubes, it reminded me of that bit in Justice League where they bring Superman back, forget they left the mother box in the car park, and Steppenwolf just steals it in the background as they all kind of go, oh, right, that. I laughed very hard.
That was Justice League's version of Marta. In Superman. Well, no, but it was the closest thing to a Marta moment.
Yeah, probably.
Like you can imagine them looking at this for weeks on end, going, "Oh, we can't just have them leave it over there in the car. Someone's going to think, okay, we'll work it out when we get closer to the day, And then someone said, Marta, is that enough of a reason for these two guys to kind of bond? Look, we'll think about it later. We'll come up with something. And they just never did they?
No, they did not.
But yeah, and a mother box of all things,
The main MacGuffin for the entire film left in the car park.
So that's again, our final superhero film of the year was Justice League. And the worst super film of the year, would you say?
What came out this year? So there's Lego Batman, Guardians 2.
We are counting that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Lego Batman.
Me too. There's a quick list.
Guardians 2 is one of my favourites.
I didn't love it. It was fun.
But it has
probably my least favourite Marvel this year, though, I'd say.
it's your favorite Marvel this year?
No, least favorite, I'd say, this year.
Okay.
Oh,
really?
Guardians, Spider-Man, and Thor. I'd say probably Spider-Man, Thor, Guardians.
It's been a quiet year as well, hasn't it?
There was 3 of them.
I know. Okay, it might seem a lot, but there's been years when there's been 4 and 5.
It's going to be 4 or 5 from here on out, I think. Yeah.
Will we be able? I would say I keep forgetting about Spider-Man: Homecoming because it's not. It's a Sony Marvel kind of movie.
Iron Man is in it, so
and I still say it's some of the stupidest plotting. Funny, back to stupidest plotting in the world was in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Which bit?
I mean, just hey, I ain't doing this shit no more. I'm going to become a supervillain. That bit.
I've seen worse motivations.
I loved it, but it was awful. You know, hey, Key, let's clear this shit up. Yeah, how come we got to clear this shit up? Hey, what are you doing clearing this shit up? And I'm looking, going, they sent in the cleaning people to get all the alien artifacts out of there. And it's okay, we know you're thinking that. We'll send in the Secret Service now in the next minute or two, because we've thought of that as well.
Yeah, that's good writing in my book.
And then cut to 8 years later. And then all these wonderful lines of dialogue that are talking to the audience saying, yeah, we know what you're thinking. Like, yeah, come on, what, you saying this kid's onto us? And we've been doing this for 8 years now and Captain America and such an Iron Man. No one's been after us. And you're going like, okay. But it's funny, we're just arguing the point about Thor Ragnarok kind of pushing it. And Spider-Man Homecoming couldn't have pushed it any harder. But the reason I think it gets away with it is that Spider-Man just so believes who he is and what he's doing, and these characters are so consumed by their world and getting on with their world that this dumb shit, and it is dumb shit.
Oh yeah.
Outside of it, you couldn't get away with it. And we said it. It was it was the little big John Hughes Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I hate saying it. It did have heart though, and I hate saying that.
And like, let's face it, some of the most boring moments were the action scenes. I mean,
yeah, I fully agree. The comedy worked a lot better
than
the action.
Chop up a ship, wreck a plane in half, and quick, let's hurry and get to the character stuff. And that was even in Thor Ragnarok. That final fighting about the villains, you really...
I quite enjoy that now, because the visual of it was very odd, and it had Immigrant Song blaring over it. Like,
Immigrant Song you could put over all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it was actually cut quite well. It wasn't that nasty kind of, okay, what did I just see there?
Yeah, it was slow-mo, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, as I was thinking, there's some early shots where whatever angles they used, that they haven't used in a Thor film before, and it looked very comic book panel-y. Like, there's bits when he's just flying over Asgard, and it's shot from, like, ground level up. Like, that's a nice, like, comic book looking panel shot. And even, like, the hammer POV shot when he's just fighting all the demons at the start. That's a weird splash page kind of design. Yeah, alright, this is good.
So then your top superhero movie for the year?
Well, okay, are we defining superhero or, like, comic book film? Because there's a lot longer list if you go that way.
Well, what other comic book movies were out this year?
Okay, so DC, Wonder Woman and Justice League. Marvel was Spider-Man, Thor, Guardians. Then there was Atomic Blonde and Death of Stalin's technically graphic novel. So
okay,
so Death of Stalin's probably the best of the year, but
I don't know if I would agree. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I thought it was very frivolous.
Kingsman as well. Kingsman.
Which Kingsman? I didn't go near. The reviews really pushed me away, and I found the first one okay. It was a guilty pleasure. I did not catch Atomic Blonde either. It just didn't.
It's fine.
Grab me.
It's a good action movie, but the plot is nonsense and a mess. And
And have you read it as a graphic novel?
I want to, but apparently the graphic novel is essentially action scene free. So I'm not sure what they really adapted, to be honest. But yeah.
Wasn't there? Whole point was we got a gay female secret agent, and that was the hook.
Yeah, but I just don't know what it's based on, because the whole film is just these long take action scenes in the John Wick guy.
Is it 80s or 90s Cold War?
It's right before the Berlin Wall falls. So
okay. And it stood up okay, but
it's a fun popcorn film, if a bit bloody and what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know, like mean spirited. It's enjoyable, but it's not necessarily.
Again, it's made by one of the team that made John Wick, isn't it? And it's got all the Wickisms running through it.
It does. She gets very bloodied by the end.
Yeah, which John Wick, which was out this year as well, wasn't it? Wasn't Wick
January? No, yeah.
Which again is more a video inspired movie, but it's neither.
But it has a comic now, so
that's a whole other thing we're getting into. So we stick to superhero movies. Okay. Which was your favourite superhero?
Of the year, probably Wonder Woman.
No,
I know you say no.
That's bottom. It's not the bottom of my list.
Jesus, no, come on.
It's above Justice League. I thought there was some definitely. Gale was wonderful in it. Or whatever, Gaddo, Ms. Gaddo.
Oh no, let's call her Gale from now on. That's a nice kind of Irishism.
Gal, okay, right. Ms. Gaddo, or Mrs. Gadot, or whatever her name is. She was great. Really filled the part. The World War I setting I could not sit with, and its anti-war sentiment, and kicking arse at the same time. It was kind of fought against itself, and then David Thewlis turning into this big muscly villain at the end. Threw me out of the movie he
kept his mustache. There you go. It is a mustache superhero movie, and it was dreadful.
No, but he wasn't a hero. He was a villain.
I know. That's why it's not there.
Villains. See, mustaches are now the villain's forte.
Weren't they always?
No, they weren't. Ask Tom Selleck. He will totally disagree with you. In fact, he's probably the only man successfully wearing mustaches in movies today as part of his persona. But the Thewlis turning into this god of war. He was Ares, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. I mean, not that I don't mind Ares as a character. It just didn't work. At least having transformed into a different creature.
Yeah. Although I'm glad he didn't, because DC has a very bad track record of kind of grey CGI villains, as we were discussing with Justice League.
But also the villain sleight of hand thing was a terrible waste of Danny Houston as well, who is a great actor, and it's the second sleight of hand we've had in a DC movie in 4 years. They did it in Dark Knight Rises, where Bane is the villain. No, he's not. I
enjoyed it in that one though, but that was more just because of the reference. I liked it.
It just seemed to be cannibalising. It's something that didn't really work. I mean, I knew Thewlis was the bad guy as soon as I saw him for some reason. I don't know why. I'm saying I was being terribly clever, but his benign Gladstone type persona kind of just said there's something creepy about this lad. And that wonderful girl from The Office was wonderful as...
Etta Candy.
But see, a lot of people don't even know who the hell Etta Candy is. I don't think Etta Candy had any place in the Wonder Woman comics after the 1950s.
Oh, probably not, no, but she was good there.
I still would be curious to see Wonder Woman as Charles Moulson wanted it to be. And I don't think we're ever going to see that movie. Did you bother with the biography?
Was it released here?
Oh yeah, it's been released as far as... Oh no, maybe it isn't.
Because I know people went to the press screening and it was really good, so I was waiting for...
You went to a press screening?
No, I know people that did, so I know it definitely is getting released here at some point. I didn't spot it in the release schedule though. I do honestly. It's quite good.
Strange sell.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it wasn't pushed sideways by any of the big boys who were making the Wonder Woman films, because we've all forgiven Wilson for his strange ideas about bondage and saving and world peace.
I'm surprised it got out at all though, because it feels like Warner Brothers couldn't have possibly wanted that film to come out the same year as their actual Wonder Woman movie, because it's all very progressive, and yet it came out in the same year that Wonder Woman came out, and they're both allegedly quite good, which is surprising. It could get some Oscar nominations, maybe. I don't know. It's all about oppression in the 50s and things.
Well, have you read it? No, I haven't seen it. I was just... I'm not that curious.
I want to see it. I'm curious to see it.
No, I'm curious, but not curious to wander to the cinema to see it.
If it gets released within like a mile of me, I'll probably go see it.
But yeah, it was that kind of stuff, and her naivety outside of the realm of the Paradise Island, I couldn't get into either. And also, I think they could have done better. It was all well for Steve Trevor to be a hero, but if it was the other way around, I don't think the woman would have had that great moment of sacrifice, and it took away from Wonder Woman's heroism. It should have been the better heroism, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was fine to have it. But let's face it, he made a woman out of her. So the feminists didn't spot that bit when they were all banging on about it. Come on, isn't it true?
I think everyone noticed that. Everyone was like, it's a well done scene. It's respectful. They both wanted it. It's grand.
And didn't James Cameron come into some flack for making comments?
Him and his submarines.
No.
I hate James Cameron.
James Cameron gave us two of the most iconic heroines in cinema history. And he gave us Kate Winslet on Titanic.
Well, the last one I'm not going to give you, but yeah, all right.
Actually, three of you can count The Abyss. That's a feisty. He's been giving us great heroines since he started out.
No, he has, but his argument was really stupid, which was that basically Wonder Woman isn't the two women I wrote, therefore she's a bad feminist. Like, no, James, there can be multiple facets of female characters.
I didn't hold it in my brain what exactly he said, but I thought the whole conversation got out of hand. He hadn't said it in that ridiculous.
I think he just said it because he's trying to get his Avatar films some steam going again, because they're in production. The next 5 are in production right now, so God help us all.
I'm betting here and now that 5 will become 3 if they don't become just 1.
I'm hoping the next one bombs, because the first one was not much good. It did not certainly the most highest grossing film of all time, certainly.
Yeah, but he has this weird anomaly of he makes these films that we look at, and then years later we ask, how did that film succeed?
Titanic, I don't like Titanic, but I get why it worked for people. But Avatar, why did Avatar work?
No, Avatar's the same. I think it's a similar thing. You understand exactly why it works, because he hadn't done anything particularly new. He did it in a new way. The stories exist amongst that kind of high fantasy sci-fi of the 1930s and 40s in book form anyway.
Yeah.
And, we've seen it in Edgar Rice Burroughs, and he robbed all those ideas. Sorry, I shouldn't say robbed. He nurtured those ideas, and he did it as a fan. People forget the guy is genuinely a fan of the kind of stuff that he's jumped all over. I watched Terminator. I was away in minding kids, and then we put on Terminator, and I noticed there's a dedication and a thank you to Harlan Ellison at the end, which didn't exist on the film when it came out first. Because Harlan Ellison, famous science fiction writer, sued the arse off Cameron for robbing 2 of his ideas. Ellison is famous for that. But on from Wonder Woman, and I didn't sit with me the way it sat with you.
Okay.
I would. Who we got now? We got. So your favourite then was Wonder Woman. What was your second?
Okay, so we're going to discredit, or not discredit, we're going to count out Atomic Blonde, Death Star, all those.
We'll keep it
just Marvel and DC. Yeah, alright. God. I'd probably say Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Thor, Guardians, Justice League.
Okay.
As an order.
And how many of those did you go and see twice?
All of them, I think.
Oh, that's very good of you.
No, not Justice League yet. I saw Wonder Woman 3 times. Lego Batman as well. I thought that one.
I saw it once.
Saw that one twice as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose favourites. I have to say, just out of my own kind of, I think Guardians would be my favourite one of the year.
I enjoyed it. I just thought it felt very smug.
I didn't mind that.
Kind of did too, but not in the same way.
Sure, that wasn't Kurt Russell. You were was vibing off.
It was more just Pratt,
he was. I think it was still some of the cleverer ideas that I've seen in films in a while.
No, it was nice seeing that properly weird shit in a superhero movie for once. Like having, they only had very briefly, but having Ego there and like giant head planet form was cool. But
I think that's really what I loved about it was that this finally finds his dad. His dad's a shit. It was nice to finally have a character realise his dad was a shit. And it had some of the best throwaway jokes ever. Mary Poppins joke will be one of my favourite jokes of the year. I'm surprised the t-shirts aren't all over the place.
Oh, I've seen them. They exist.
Hey, are they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I want one. Hint, hint.
Actually, I think you're right. I think probably my favourite singular joke of any superhero movie this year was probably the bit with the severed toe. Remember, that was probably the thing I laughed the hardest at.
Which one was that?
In Guardians, when they're trying to get Groot to get them the fin from the drawer.
Oh, yes.
And he comes back with like a severed human thumb or something, and they don't know where it came from. That's probably the hardest I laughed at anything. Yeah.
So, and also, again, Guardians got away. I mean, we had this discussion the last time we talked about it. It got away with one of the most vicious slaughterings of people ever to a nice groovy tune. I can't remember what the brilliant tune was.
Can't recall it either.
But don't forget, Gunn is a big fan of his soundtracks. He really is into meshing the soundtrack with the film. And become...
That stuff was all well done. Whatever the script, because the first one I think did better than they thought it would do, and the second one came in with this air. Even like the posters were just them on a poster and the word "obviously" underneath it. That's all it was. Like they came in incredibly smuggling up their arses about it, and that kind of came through in the tone. And I didn't really love it. I didn't think it was as smug as you did. Yeah, fair enough.
I liked
I enjoyed it. Like I did like.
I love the villains. Not the villains. Who are the aliens they pissed off when they robbed their?
No, the golden people. Yeah,
yeah.
I can't remember the name was.
I love the way they got out of not killing them all with those little ships because they were all operated in an arcade back in the planet. So it got some of those
but then
really
they massacred them anyway.
But there was a lot of I don't like to say Barbarella because it's not right. But that kind of 60s sensibilities were in there, and again, Thor was riffing off that kind of essence big time. It knew it could go there. I don't know whether Wakiki and Gunn sat down and had a few beers, but they definitely were tuning into that. And it's interesting to mark that the biggest meet-up between heroes in the next Avengers movie is Thor and the Guardians. But,
well, I feel like the first Guardians did enough weirdness that they kind of went, okay, let's just do more Jack Kirby-esque shit. So that's this year we got Thor and Guardians 2, and even like Justice League was trying to do
I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I liked it, and the second time, it took the second viewing for me to kind of find merits in it that because like there was the prison escape scene that was okay. And then it got, once they settled into the characters as a team, it certainly got into its stride. The second one was much more fun, I thought. I
definitely preferred the second one, yeah. Because the structure is less annoying, because the first one spent so long getting them together that it is interminable for the first half an hour or so. Like, I did like Guardians 2, I don't know. Some of the jokes, I was like, fuck off, please stop talking.
Name one.
Oh God, I haven't watched it once. I just remember distinctly being annoyed that most of the main characters within the first hour, Star-Lord especially, I think
Star-Lord was probably not the weakest thing in the film, but he wasn't where all my joy was. I thought that who was great.
Don't say Drax.
Yes, I enjoyed him.
I don't mind.
It was so heavy-handed, that humor, and our new lady alien
Mantis.
She was great fun.
She's good,
and there was a lot of
Nebula.
really.
I was surprised how good Nebula was.
Yeah,
they gave her some stuff.
There was some great stuff there. So that would be definitely top of my list. I think I would go Guardians, Spider-Man. I'd say I'd have to put Batman in third, maybe fourth.
I forgot about Batman.
Ragnarok.
Probably second or third as well.
The WW lady. And then, just because it has been on the list, Justice League. And let's say something nice about Justice League.
I was just going to say, do you have any positives? I will say I love Jeremy Irons. I thought he did great. He was a lot of fun. He always is, but they gave him a lot to do in this one.
And again, his big trailer moment wasn't in the movie. You came. It was would have been wasted anyway. What would be the point of him saying it? And if he was even talking to who we think he was talking to.
I think that was a shot just made for the trailer. I think that was never meant to be in the movie.
Yeah, it's some of the worst special effects ever. Definitely the worst special effects has to be Justice League, without a doubt.
Well, see, I'm wondering, is that because they spend they haven't said how much they spent on it, but they spend somewhere in the region of 350 million on that thing.
How did those figures get out? I would have thought they would have been very careful about it.
Well, there was a production budget which
was,
those I think it was 250, that's the norm these days, that kind of thing. But then the reshoots allegedly went somewhere near 100 million, and then there's the mustache and.
So has anyone seen the original script for this?
I don't think so. So flicking through the old notes, see if there's any more
because
positives.
I was wondering how much they could have actually changed. I really didn't understand where it was going in terms of what that meant.
I think like 8 or 10 deleted scenes leaked the weekend it came out, but there's no audio in them. But you can read descriptions online, and they do have a different sort of through line with the film. Like I think Cyborg dies.
And then comes back again because he's going to make his own movie.
Yeah, well, I think the line that he gets crushed at the end or something by Steppenwolf, and then they say they can keep the machine parts alive. The organic flesh is dead, so I guess he will be back, but he wouldn't be human anymore. He'd just be the robot with the skin. That's like RoboCop, I guess.
But he always had the human.
Oh no, he'd still have the human skin, like visually, but he'd be dead inside. You know what I mean? Like it's just the robot.
And he's one of those characters never kept up on the comic books.
I've never read any Cyborg stuff.
I'm amazed the character actually survived all this time. I've seen him in that little Teen Titans thing.
That's where most people know him, I think. Yeah. I will say, actually, the post-credit scene I quite liked. They finally made Eisenberg a proper-esque Luthor.
After listening to Mr. Suicide Squad giving out yards about post-credit scenes, it's Marvel's thing. I thought it was very funny watching them actually bow to that.
Do two of them even.
Yeah, and the second one was they were both fun.
Yeah. That Destro costume is fantastic. The actual makeup for the white beard and hair looked fucking horrific.
Who was the actor?
Joe Manganiello.
And I take it he's going to play the part.
Yeah, they're saying... Well, initially he was going to be in the standalone Batman film, the one that Affleck was writing and directing. Affleck is now not writing it or directing it and may not be Batman anymore. But he's getting his own solo film from the guy who did The Raid now.
DC are very good with the empty promises.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a shitload of them compared to Marvel, who just let you know what's going to happen when it's going to
Well,
happen.
DC did that, and then they kept changing their mind as, box office figures came in. So now there's currently nothing on the slate for sure, bar Wonder Woman 2 and Aquaman, because it's already shot. That's the only reason that one's still coming out.
So Cyborg's dead in the
Snyder cut, apparently.
The Cyborg, but the movie is dead. There's not going to be a
for
Cyborg.
now, yeah. It could still happen, but for now.
So Wonder Woman's definitely getting a sequel, as you say, and Aquaman is only going to exist because they've already
shot. It's done. It's out sometime next year.
I'm really curious.
I think
curious.
It'll be dreadful, but I'm hoping they won't.
Well,
make
did you see
I
meant to mention earlier, the underwater scenes were
okay.
They weren't. No, but they were only okay because the underwater kingdom seems to consist of 4 people standing around a thing they had to guard, and that was it.
I mean, because they shot a lot more stuff for that. Because I know Willem Dafoe has been cast as some Aquaman character, and he shot scenes for this, but they cut them all out.
I think
underwater
faking underwater was always going to be an issue. Otherwise, we would have had now Namor. I think we've had this conversation. Namor is owned by somebody else.
The rights thing.
So then let's wrap up with a kind of little talk about what we hope to see next year.
Actually, I know there's a few.
I know Black Panther is
Justice League things though. I had notes, they're gone. What was I going to say again? Oh, watching the Danny Elfman score because they brought in the Superman theme.
Yeah,
dreadful.
It wasn't, that little nod was awful. Jeremy Irons did make a joke about referring to Batman Returns, but
the Penguins. Yeah,
they were unamusing Easter eggs that didn't sit. They just kind of gave you, okay, it's that universe. So what?
I think the Superman theme was a real kick in the face. Purely because that theme represents the Richard Donner one and a proper hopeful Superman, and then bringing it in when he's evil just feels like really weird. It feels like
evil,
a Snyder.
He was pissed off.
Yeah, he wasn't evil necessarily. And then bringing in the Elfman Batman theme was just stupid. Like that reminds us of better films.
Well, again, it just was the wrong place.
Yeah.
For it's like the difference between someone crying and someone whinging. They just were too the desperation could be felt, and no one likes a desperate mogul studio crying out for more money.
Two last things I like with Justice League. One, the fact that there was a scene in which the Flash and Cyborg grave rob Superman's body. That's bizarre that exists.
That's sorry, nicely put. I'd forgotten all about that. I think I'd blanked it from my brain. Yeah,
if you read that on paper in a script that wasn't made, they could never shoot that. That's in the film.
But not only the grave robbing it, I'm like, how old is this fucking corpse?
He doesn't. But isn't that?
And
doesn't
also,
Batman say that though? He doesn't sell.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, but then the other question is, how do they explain Clark Kent coming back?
That's another thing. There's a deleted scene that was in it where apparently Lois Lane brings him back to the planet and introduces him to Perry White again. And I don't know how that was supposed to work.
No, but Perry White wasn't even in the movie.
No.
This is where and like when Gordon turns up again, you're looking at a character like, are you on that roof all the time, just flashing that light in the air? You don't even go home, do you? You just stand there. I thought that was it was like crying out for some golden Kurt Swan 50 sensibilities in there. Oh, Clark Kent. Oh, well, I was trapped in that debris all the time from the fight from the
7 months.
Yeah, eating my own toenails.
The last thing I will say that I really enjoyed Justice League, I will give any props to a film where the villain's last words are "I'll kill you all," and I like the fact that Steppenwolf just went off being slowly eaten by his own bug people, screaming "I'll kill you all." That was great.
That was unexpected. Another thing that felt like it was shoehorned into the movie at the last minute was the poor Russian family that needed to be saved.
I think that was probably reshoots. Yeah, it seems like that was reshoots.
No, it was. It was so clunky.
I mean, the payoff joke for it was kind of good, where the Flash rescues the 5 of them, and then Superman flies by with a building. Like that was funny.
So which were the mustache scenes, by the way? Can I?
Okay, right. The opening shot was mustache scene. Remember the phone camera bit with the kids asking Superman questions? That was a mustache scene for sure.
Oh, that was awful. That opening.
didn't
What
like that,
the
no?
fuck were they thinking of? No, because after Spider-Man Homecoming did such a wonderful version of the kind of mobile footage.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't even stand close to it. It just...
I like that they tried to give an actual
patriotic-
Superman scene, though. Like, that was proper Superman, sort of.
No, I did not like it. Did you like that? You thought it was okay?
I liked the intention of it. The execution was a bit shit.
Well,
but
I would agree with that. The execution was absolutely awful. It looked like it wasn't even shot by any directors were hanging around that day to shoot it.
Probably wasn't. Did you notice the bit in the opening credits where as soon as Joss Whedon's name comes up, there's a shot to the homeless man's little sign saying "I tried," and everyone assumed that's an intentional bit of editing, that this was him going, "No, I know what I did. I'm sorry." Other mustache scenes. It was kind of random. It wasn't like entire scenes. It was like random insert shots that were from the reshoots. You could tell were just because anytime his upper lip looked out of focus, that's when it was.
Okay, so that's all it was. I think Paramount knew what they were doing when they said, no, you can't
That's so funny.
shave off his mustache.
It's such a dick move. It's such a studio executive dick move.
We want to cost you loads and loads of money. And that's because he's going to be in Mission Impossible as
the villain with a mustache.
Yeah, I don't think Henry Cavill is going to be hanging around as Superman for too long after this either.
Well, I think Affleck was smart to get out quick, so he's out first.
You see, this is the other thing. This is the thing. You look at the longevity of the actors who signed up to do Marvel movies, and I mean, there's Star Downey on how many appearances of Iron Man now? I think he's caught up with Hugh Jackman at this stage.
Ah, no, he couldn't have.
You said he couldn't have.
Well,
Yes, 3 Iron Mans.
Three Iron Man's, Incredible Hulk,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man, 2 Avengers,
Hulk. I mean, that's a bit of appearances now.
7. Yeah, I got 7 so far.
That's so good. And Hugh Jackman, you're going to have to catch up on that one. Oh, we forgot about Logan.
Oh,
Whoa! The most serious superhero movie of the year.
Speaking of taking himself too seriously, that's somewhere in the middle for me. I think I didn't love Logan. That one I only saw once cinemas. There we go.
Oh no,
that's the one I didn't see twice.
it was so getting off with its violence, but bored me.
The violence, bored me too.
And once Patrick Stewart left the movie, it was all downhill. And Mr. Mournful, Moany Hole Wolverine, sorry, I said terribly mean.
You're right. Are you going to go see the re-release in black and white?
And it's nods to westerns and that were, nods to some favourite kind of western. There was even a nod to True Grit at the end of that film. Or not True Grit, to a film called Cowboys that no one would spot, but a few people I know. With the grave scene. Where the kids all bury him, and that was weird. That was not the Shane, which I actually watched there recently.
You say nod to Shane, they literally showed the film in the film and gave the speech back again.
Yeah, but they created the hero that can't back away from the bad guys, that has to stand up for the
truth, justice
in the American way. Yeah. So, okay, we remembered Logan, even though we forgot
Just about, I'll say middle somewhere, I don't know.
Which was the superhero western of the year. So, next year we have, there's a bucket load of stuff from Marvel anyway.
Okay, from Marvel there's
Black Panther,
Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, maybe another one.
Do you think Black Panther's going to turn out to be Shaft in Africa?
I'm okay with that, it was good.
Shaft in Africa is a terrible film.
I haven't seen Shaft.
No, Shaft I've seen. Shaft in Africa is just...
The trailers are very good.
Right, brilliant. I think so. I hope they get it right. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more of kind of guest starrings from other heroes in that film as well.
Bucky and Cap are in that place, so
yeah. No, but it's not before. It's
before Infinity War.
It's somewhere in the middle. No, don't forget his father died in Civil War. So it follows on from that, where there's a vie for power.
Yeah, but I think it's probably still set fairly concurrently.
And we have Mr. Sonic Claus going to be running around this one. Andy
Serkis,
taking a rest from doing motion capture for every motion capture style entity on the planet.
Well, he's still mocapping an arm, so
he's the mocap king.
It's a bit of a
how do you monopolize mocap on a planet this size?
Get in there first, I suppose.
He's got his own mocap studio.
That does not surprise me.
I watched his Snoke, and anyway, I won't.
The Snoke thing, because there's a quick divergence. I think Snoke looked great in the hologram form, and then I haven't seen Last Jedi yet, but the trailers where you see brief shots of him in full form,
he looks like Voldemort's long lost cousin.
He looks a bit like Tarkin did, and that it looks almost like a real person, but it's like a 1% missing.
This isn't a spoiler, but I'm convinced that Snoke is actually the Emperor from Return of
That's
the
too
Jedi.
obvious, though. Everyone thought that too. It's too
I know,
easy.
but sometimes that's what they do. Isn't that what J.J. Abrams does? The bleeding obvious. We all thought they were dead in Lost in the first episode, and people watched for 4 years and they found out, yeah, they were dead.
Then Cumberbatch isn't playing Khan. Definitely not playing Khan. Oh, he's Khan.
Who?
Cumberbatch. I remember in Star Trek 2.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Actually, didn't talk about that. Doctor Strange and Thor. Bit shit. Didn't need to be there. Moving on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought it was funny. What was interesting about that was that the most interesting special effect in the film was cutting. Every time that it was simply a cut to a different room, Thor wobble about a bit,
rolling down some stairs,
and it was a good joke.
Oh no, that was funny.
It was
funny, but it was such a pointless cameo. Like as pointless cameos go in these things, that one was totally needless.
Well, it was probably the best Loki moment of sorts.
Yes,
God, it's sorcerer, come on, and like getting out his knives like a Commoner Garden thug.
The falling for half an hour joke was funny.
But so Black Panther, we have
Infinity War. Is after that.
What I'm curious about, the Ant and Wasp.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I enjoyed Ant-Man quite a lot.
Yeah,
that one could be good. Michelle Pfeiffer's playing Janet Van Dyne. Good casting.
So, which means possibly loads more flashbacks.
Oh well, unless she's the aging technology.
Don't forget Marvel have that one wrapped up at this stage, don't they? They gave us a young Kurt Russell. They gave us a young Michael Douglas.
Downey Jr. That was scary looking. Actually, Downey Jr. was frightening. Like it was good, but it was scary seeing it in motion.
Oh yeah, that was it was like scenes from one of his early teeny movies. So what else is coming out next year?
Okay, then from Fox we have New Mutants and Dark Phoenix and Deadpool 2.
Dark Phoenix is out next year.
Yeah,
that's a separate movie.
It's in the current X-Men continuity. It's the
is Singer still involved with those?
I think he's been fired.
Has he been fired from everything at this stage? Yeah, he's got...
No, I don't think he. No, because I think he didn't direct Dark Phoenix. It was
but he's been involved creatively as an exec in the background, hasn't he?
Producer mainly. He directed a few of them. Yeah. But I think he's probably been quietly fired since. Because wasn't he also? No, Brett Ratner was on one.
But he was doing his Queen bio there recently.
Oh, he's been fired for that for sure.
But that was Fox as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it must have been.
After him making him all that money. So Dark Phoenix, to be curious,
probably
where's that going to come from? Is that from another X-Men universe?
No, that's going to be the same one with the McAvoy timeline one.
Okay,
set in the 90s.
This comes in then somewhere after
Apocalypse, yeah.
Oh god, I can't keep up.
And then New Mutants is, I'm not sure where that's at on. That one's...
Well, New Mutants is looking like a horror movie at the moment. Went to a screening there, press screening for, I should briefly mention Shape of Water, which is out next year.
That's good.
I saw that there a few weeks ago, and they showed us a trailer for New Mutants, which I'd seen online, and I looked again, and they mentioned that the Fox lady was there talking about distribution and how Fox are going to be reimagining very hard all these films and what they're doing.
Except they won't, because there's currently talks happening where Disney are about to buy Fox, so this could all go back in the MCU next year.
Wow, so it could be Hollywood could become Disneywood in the next one. Wow, that's creepy. That's a frightening thought. But so it's essentially a horror movie.
And the trailer, it's a very generic looking horror film, but it's nice seeing a different superhero movie.
It's a very generic trailer.
Yeah,
it's just like who's going to get knocked. Again, no one actually gets knocked off in it, but that's what it reminded me of. The trailer for a bizarre Stallone slasher movie a million years ago, where he's in a mental institute and people are getting knocked off. So it was a hybrid of a detective story and a slasher movie.
All right.
So it's not the first hybrid-y slasher.
What's that film called?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. You'll find
it. I see Stallone as a detective in a slasher movie. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's probably going to become a cult classic now after we've mentioned it on our podcast. Yeah. So I can't think of anything else out this next
there's probably more. I can't think of anything else either. I think there's a load of like image stuff due out next year as well.
I'll tell you what, we meet here
absolutely
next year.
Well, I think Black Panther's first. That's February, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Soon enough.
So I think we will dedicate a whole podcast to Black Panther if you're up for it.
Hopefully. And
Jack Kirby. Let's bring Jack back. Let's mention Jack.
They should have been Jack Kirby when it
Jack, he's created key MacGuffins in 2 universes. And I find that fascinating.
Well, Jim Starlin invented Thanos and Darkseid, didn't he?
Did he create Thanos?
I think he did. I think he created both of them.
Well, then, so Darkseid is just a Rob job of Jack Kirby's.
Oh no, hang on. Thanos is the rip-off one, I think. I can't remember now.
We'll know more by the time we get back next time.
No promises.
We'd just like to wish you all wonderful Christmassy stuff and
neutral happy holidays.
And one of those New Years where your life gets better.
In this economy,
all of you. I know it's not physically possible, but we're going to wish it all to you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for listening, you 5 guys. And see you next year when Black Panther comes out.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Good night.